When Ontario locked down last March, few of us expected we would still be dealing with this pandemic. For many parents, it's been a very long year. They've had to be teachers, nurses, full-time caregivers, entertainment coordinators, child psychologists, and more, all while dealing with their own socially distanced lives. Joining us now for some perspective and advice in Bancroft, Ontario, Ann Douglas, parenting expert and author of Happy Parents, Happy Kids. And here in the provincial capital, Tanya Hayles, founder of the global nonprofit Black Moms Connection, and Ed Gough Jr., fatherhood expert and member of Dad Central Ontario, part of a national network supporting fathering. Hi, welcome to you all.
Hello.
I am super excited. I feel like this panel is just for me, but it's not. It's for all the parents across the province. And Tanya, I wanted to start with you. You know, this past year, what has been the most challenging part of parenting through the pandemic for you?
How long do I have to answer this question? So I'm a single parent, so I usually don't get breaks as is, but parenting during a pandemic as a single parent means 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with no breaks. It's difficult to manage, my own grief, trying to figure out pivoting my career that I lost. I was an event planner before COVID, not so much anymore. Also, how much screen time is too much screen time. They use their screens for fun now because there's no outside, there's no basketball. So I think like there's just a multitude of things that come at you from every angle.
And Tanya mentioned trying to navigate your own grief while helping your child navigate that grief. As a parenting expert, is there one question you're answering more than others, when it comes to how parents are juggling, well, everything?
Yes, I think the big thing is it just me? Like, am I doing it wrong because I'm finding it hard when you're into a pandemic of juggling all these things? And absolutely, you are not doing it wrong. The challenge is that you've been asked to shoulder an impossibly large load, and you've been asked to do it for a very long time.
And Ed, from the fathers that you connect with, what are they most concerned about during this past year?
Everything from balancing work and life, and also for a lot of them too, some of them have lost their jobs. So I'm seeing an increasing amount of challenges mental health wise, and also a lot of fathers, let's be real here, haven't spent a lot of times with their children. So they're still after years trying to get used to being more engaged and being more time wise with their child or children. So they're still looking for that guidance. They're looking for resources.
Would you say that's a silver lining? Because throughout this whole pandemic, I've been trying to find, the good things to just keep us
Oh,
going
yeah.
for another day, being able to spend more time with their kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick little story. There's a gentleman who lives 3 houses down from me, and he does HVAC. So in the morning time, he's usually out at 7 o'clock in the morning, doesn't come back till 5 or 6. And about 2 or 3 months ago, we were outside and we were chatting and saying, how are things going with your little daughter? He says, oh, it's been a great time. I've been working less, but I taught her how to ride a bike and I taught her how to ride a motorcycle. I'm going, hold on, she's only 7 years old. She says, no problem. She's got a helmet. But he said he really loved it. And I'm hearing so many fathers around the world giving positive stories of engaging with their child or children.
I would like to say that the pandemic has enabled me to make a home cooked meal every night, but I would be lying. So let's take a look at some stats. Last October, Statistics Canada released some numbers ranking how concerned parents were with balancing school, childcare, and work, and the results show that 71% of parents surveyed were concerned about their child's opportunities to socialize with their friends. 64% were concerned about their children feeling lonely or isolated. 46% worried about the overall mental health of their child. And 40% fretted about schoolwork and academic success. And when you look at those numbers, is it notable that parents are more concerned about their children's social lives than they are about their schoolwork?
I think it makes total sense. I think we're all really craving that human contact, and especially for kids at particular developmental stages. Like, I feel so sorry for teenagers. This is a time in your life when you're supposed to be being social and having a private life, and the pandemic has forced you to be treated like a 5-year-old. So that must be exceptionally challenging for parents and for teens right now.
Tanya, I saw you nodding.
Absolutely. I think, Anne said it best too in terms of the socialization, because they learn so much. When they're on a playground, they learn how to win, they learn how to lose, they learn how to deal with peer pressure. You can't learn those things if you're an only child, in a house with an adult who's on a computer all day. And what is this going to lead long term wise, like how they're going to learn how to interact with their peers when they're in an office setting, if office settings are still a thing in 10, 15 years. So it does make sense. And I know that, teachers and boards are doing the best that they can to try and make sure that children don't fall behind. I know that some kids are flourishing in this virtual learning because they're not good in classroom settings, whereas other kids, now that the classroom sizes are smaller, they're getting a little bit more attention. So we don't have to necessarily worry as much academically as we do for the other extras.
Tanya, you mentioned that you are a single parent. How are you, how are you managing to be productive while doing everything else that you've had to deal with your son?
Define productive. um, there's days where I just give myself the grace to say I don't have it. I might follow up with people saying, you know what, you're going to get this by end of week, so I can give myself an extra few days. I try to use calendar schedule tools so I can know what my schedule is like. I make sure that times are blocked off for drop off and pick up times from school. I try my best, but it's really, really difficult because sometimes it's just, getting out of bed and putting food in your mouth for breakfast is the only thing I can accomplish. And some days that has to be okay.
And I've also been hearing, even for me personally, my days are very long. And Ed, we've heard how in two-parent cisgender relationships, women are still shouldering most of the work. Why do you think that is?
I think one of the reasons is a lot of fathers don't know where to start. And a lot of things too that they haven't been taught. And also too, a lot of fathers haven't had that experience when they were raised by their fathers. So a lot of times they've been so, unfortunately, focused on providing, especially providing through the workplace, that they haven't thought about there is another side of life. So they think about the traditional this, and this. Now with the pandemic, sometimes they feel like they're a father out in the middle of the sea and they don't know what to do. The kids are coming to saying, daddy this, daddy that. And sometimes, unfortunately, the father hasn't paid a lot of attention to what's going on with their child or children in school, in everyday life. So it's not a perfect situation for anybody. But as I said, and we'll get to later, more dads are getting engaged now. So that's a good side of the pandemic.
And Anne, Tanya mentioned the screen time. We've all, I think from the time that I have my kids, my eldest is 10, limit screen time, but now screen time, learning, their friends, it's a connection to the outside world. How can parents balance screen time with physical activity if you can get outside?
Yeah, exactly. I think lose a little bit of the guilt around that, because I've had so many parents say to me, for years we've been hearing all this stuff about, limit the screen time in this way. And I think the wisest thing I've heard is to look at how the screen is being used, as opposed to just narrowly counting, setting like a stopwatch or something. Think about, like, are they connecting with family across the miles, or is this their friend hangout, as opposed to just treating scrolling through Instagram and feeling badly because your post hasn't been liked as the equivalent of playing a card game remotely with your grandparents.
I think for a lot of us, when we were growing up, our parents would say, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent, go outside and play with the kids down the street. But now the pandemic has changed the dynamics so much that parents have had to be their children's friends. Do you worry about what that would look like in the future? Do you think that's going to make children more dependent on their parents? Anne?
I think that there'll be a little bit of an adjustment coming out the other side, but I I guess I have such faith in our wonderfully flexible and plastic human brains. I mean, we are able to learn and adapt, but I mean, I think that we really will need to make an investment in schools and in, mental health supports, because there will be some children who don't just naturally pick up for missed ground. I mean, all four of my kids grew up with some kind of mental health, neurodevelopmental, or behavioral challenge. So, it's not easy necessarily for every child.
And Tanya, I see you nodding.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for my son, he asked me to download the Among Us game because he wanted to play together. And that's not my jam, but this is a way for us to connect on his level and have something fun for both of us to do. And I do think that this is an opportunity, like Ed has been saying, to get to know your kids a little bit better. Traditionally, we used to drop our kids off at daycare. We would go to work, we pick them up from childcare, feed them dinner, go to bed. We were seeing our children maybe an hour or two every weekday, and then, rush on weekends to spend time and get to know who they are as kids. What are their interests? Who are they? And of course, they change every day, just like we do. So there's definitely opportunities, but I think that it's going to be interesting to see what the long-term effects of all of this is going to be on children, interpersonal relationships, with us as their parents and also with their peers.
I mean, it is, Tanya brings up a really great point. It is an opportunity for us to get to know our children better and for them to get to know us better. But Ed, from the fathers that you've been speaking to, how can kids nurture friendships or even make new friends during this time?
Well, they can make new friends, but the parent or parents have to monitor the friendships. Like, we can always make new friends, but the parents have to be engaged. This right now is the time to build the foundation for the future. So the actions that fathers or parents are taking now is going to set up your child's future. So as much as possible, be involved. Don't be overbearing. And like last night, it was online and I was asking parents, how are you surviving during the pandemic? Some of them have, said, we're right in there, but others have said more and more now, we're giving our children some space. So we're just overseeing. They're allowing them to grow and they're just managing. They're not there hands in every day watching everything. But another thing I say to parents is, at the end of the day with your children, ask them what's a win you had today. Tell me about your day. So they feel that the parents are involved in their development and how they're doing. And those are the little things set up for big things. So if you do the little things right, it'll set up for big wins further down the road.
And, and for some communities, they're not just navigating the pandemic. We know from reports that the pandemic is disproportionately affecting Black and Brown communities. We've also, last summer, we saw the Black Lives Matter movement go global. What advice would you give to parents in how to talk to kids about this, Ed?
My advice would, first of all, if you're not comfortable, talk to other parents and see how they're addressing it. See what's working and what isn't working, and have the talk with your children. And if you don't know the answer to some questions, tell them you don't know, but see if you can get back to them. But you want to make sure that the information they're getting, you're making sure it's coming from you, not from some media source. And you want to show that you're involved in their lives and you want the best for them and to prepare them. So when the pandemic goes in the next stage, you have prepared them for some of the things that are out there that they're just seeing on a screen now. They may be encountering face to face after this next stage.
Mm-hmm. And Anne, what advice would you give to parents on how to talk about all the other stuff that's happening in the world?
Oh, I would say to really lead with your values. Think about what kind of family you want to be and how you want to be making things better in the world, and look for concrete day-to-day ways to live by those values, because it's not enough to just say, oh, that's terrible that this thing happened. Think about, your responsibility as a family. And I mean, I guess I get frustrated sometimes when people think it didn't affect my family directly, so I don't need to care about that. I want to be part of the kind of world where we all care deeply about one another and where we're looking out not just for our own individual families, but for every family, every parent and child in the village, right?
Mm-hmm. And Tanya?
I can
Oh, sorry, Ed, go ahead first and then we'll have to.
Yeah, I just want to add another thing, and also have those family discussions. Ask your children, what do they think about that situation? Get their input, because sometimes they may know than you do, and they may end up teaching you about some things. So get their perspective and show that you value what they're thinking, and work together for understanding together.
And Tanya?
Yeah, I think you have to arm your own toolbox, right? You can't answer questions without having, prior engagement. Do your own reading, your own learning, YouTube books, etc. When it comes to talking to your children, let them lead. Let them ask you questions. And like Ed said, if you don't know the answer, say, I don't know the answer to that question. Let's find out together. Do an audit of what's around them. Are they watching diverse TV shows on Netflix? Do they have diverse toys in their toy box? Do they have diverse books on their bookshelves? You're the one who bought all those things. So, you have to challenge yourself to say, wow, I really have only been giving them, entertainment and things that look like one set of people. And, there's tons of resources out there. Today's Parent has a great post about how to talk to your children about race by age, because you have to make it age appropriate. You're not going to talk to a 5-year-old about slavery, but they have a staunch sense of fairness and it's like, oh, is that fair? Is that nice that someone doesn't like someone else because of their skin color? No, it's not. Okay, let's talk about that. It can start and end there, but this has to be, like Anne said, this is not just a conversation that parents who are Black and Indigenous and of color have to have. This is a conversation that every single parent has to have with their children, because we want, when our 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds become 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds, that we're not having this same conversation about how do you talk to your children about race. They're going to learn to have grown up in a world where representation mattered.
That's really an interesting point that you bring up, because I spoke to a cousin of mine, and she decided not to talk to her children about what was happening in the world around Black Lives Matter, around the violence with police. And I actually spoke to my son, and then he became very afraid. Every time his father left the house, he would be very afraid, when is he coming back? Can I go with him? So Ed, again, I guess one size does not fit all.
No, absolutely not. And again, get to know your child or children. Everyone is different. And again, if you're having those challenges with your children, there are online resources, there are agencies that are open, and other parents. You have your village, have your community, because this is a communal effort. You can't do it alone, because if you do it alone, you're going to get burnt out and you're going to get frustrated, and your children are going to sense it.
I think for parents too, they are navigating so much. So I think they know that their friends are navigating a lot as well. And is that something that you've seen, where people don't want to burden other people because everybody's just trying to do the best that they can?
Yeah, and I know often, because I'm somebody who struggles with anxiety and depression myself, when you're in that dark place, it's easy to retreat and to pull back, when really what you need to do in order to feel better is to actually lean into your relationships and say to people, I'm having a really hard time. So I think that just know that you may be sort of retreating for a reason, because you're having a hard time, and look out for one another. Like, if you notice a friend goes quiet, reach out to them and just say, hey, just wondering how your day is going, that kind of thing. Even just idle chit chat matters a lot in a pandemic, right?
Well, I mean, one thing that we've been hearing throughout this pandemic, and I mentioned it earlier, is that kids are resilient. We know that Kids Help phone line has seen a sharp increase in the use of its helplines since the beginning of the pandemic, yet we're hearing kids are resilient. Why is that, Anne?
Well, kids are resilient, but they're resilient in a context when they feel adequately supported by their parents and their community. It's not like you just have like a little shrub of a child who's growing in isolation on their own. There need to be the nutrients in the soil. So we need to be putting all the supports in place that parents need in order to feel supported, and that kids in turn need as well. So I sometimes feel like we download a lot onto parents and just sort of, or give them false hope, when we're not making the necessary societal investment that parents and kids really need right now.
Tanya?
Yeah, I think people say kids are resilient because, the opposite of hopelessness would make it that much harder to deal with, right? It's just like, no, the kids are going to be okay. It's more saying the kids have to be okay, because otherwise, I'm an adult. I have coping mechanisms. I can, partake in a glass of wine. They don't necessarily have the same tools to decompress. They don't have, some of these kids, my son's only 8. He doesn't have a cell phone. So he can't just pick up the phone and call a cousin to talk. he's got different tools where he can communicate with the outside world, but of course they're limited. And so we have to really just, when we're talking about resilience, a lot of times in the Black community we hear, oh, you're strong, but strong is not necessarily an armor that protects you from grief and sadness and depression. And when we're going through a global pandemic, as a parent, as a person, this idea of resiliency, we need to kind of really think about, well, when we talk about resiliency, what do we really actually mean?
And Ed?
Just adding on what the two ladies said ahead of me, this whole thing of strong men, as I say, even strong men suffer. So what I say to everyone out there, parent, especially at this time, is yes, it is a difficult time and everyone's going through it. And in this time of the history, there's nothing in the world historically that's affected everyone directly or indirectly. So everyone has gone through it. And as the two ladies have said too, reach out for that support. Resilience, we only see the resilience on the outside of a lot of people. We don't see what's going on inside.
Mm-hmm. And so when we do talk about how we get to the other side of this, Ed, how important is it to have a community or at least a few other parents to just talk to?
Absolutely critical at this time. From the father's side, one of the platforms I'm on, every day at 10:05 a.m., we have an open room, and it's called Are You Man Enough? And it's a room where fathers and men just share their challenges. And we have men on from all around the world. Actually, I'm going to be interviewing one of the men on my show from Bali, who is a fatherhood there. And just all the different sharing. It's so critical because there are a lot of people right now, and we have to be honest, that are alone right now. And if you're not hearing from someone, as Anne said earlier on, one of the things I do with the fathers is I'll text them and just say, you're good. Just to reach out to know that someone cares. So it's absolutely critical. We didn't come in the world by ourselves, so why are we trying to do it by ourselves?
And when we do talk about mental health, we also know that a lot of people are struggling financially because they've lost their jobs. And Tanya, I've seen you with Black Moms Connection fundraising for mothers who might need to make their rent or their mortgage. How important is it to have a community or at least a few other parents to talk to, Tanya?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Black Moms Connection was born 6 years ago when we could still do things in person. And, obviously in the last year, so we were kind of ahead of the curve in terms of building a virtual community. And it's become, some folks, they tell us it's the only reason why they keep Facebook. It's their go-to source for culturally relevant information on motherhood, to be able to ask the questions that you're afraid to ask your family members because you feel shame or you feel guilt. You can do so anonymously, which is a new tool that Facebook has given parental groups. So you can put something up and now you can have 17,000 women, chime in, give you support without, them going to your Facebook page profile to creep to see who you are, if you're connected to them in any way, shape, or form. So when we launched our grant programs last year, our emergency grants to buy just food, formula, our rent bank program to pay the rent or mortgage of anyone who's lost their job or is at risk of housing insecurity. These asks for financial support, of course they spiked, and we did as much as we could with our corporate partners to be able to provide just some small reprieve. And it makes a really big difference because we know in our community specifically, if the moms aren't healthy, then the babies, whether they're 2 or 20, they're not healthy either.
And we always like to try to leave on a moment of just to offer some hope from people who are watching and listening. Tanya mentioned earlier that parents are navigating this grief. Our children may not necessarily have the language to say, this is what I'm feeling, or this is how this is impacting me. So how can we help our children navigate this grief?
I think just to let them know that they can bring all their emotions to you. I think sometimes kids feel like my mom or dad is already really struggling. Like, do they really need my heavy emotions? Yes, bring those emotions to me. I'm strong enough, I'm big enough to be able to carry them for you so that you can just, be a kid. And I think just to give them permission to, to just be themselves, to do the best they can, but not with the pressure or expectation. Let's just give ourselves permission to be gloriously imperfect parents and our kids permission to be gloriously imperfect kids. Nobody needs to be perfect in this moment.
Oh no, we just have to, put on some pants and a t-shirt and our mask, and we've done well. We talked a little bit about silver linings, and Ed, I think this is an opportunity. A lot of people have been saying this is an opportunity to build back better. Would you say then, looking back on the past year, that it's been a 1 year of teachable moments? And if so, what are those moments?
Been a whole year of teachable moments for a last lifetime. I think one of the things I say to parents is remember to give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. I say that whether it's a father or parents, I always end off my conversations, remember to give yourselves grace. And when I say that, a lot of them just exhale saying, thank you, someone said that. I needed to hear that. And I think teachable moments, enjoy learning with your children. Those moments, because you're never going to have, every learning moment is never going to be repeated, but also be confident with your children. And also it's a time for parents to look at themselves and say, let me just take a look at where my compass is. Is a compass in the right direction? Am I not spending enough time with my kids? This is teaching me now that I need to invest in the greatest thing in my life, my children, the future. And also, let's take the time to get to know our families. This is a great time to know it. And I know not everyone's in that space. And then one parent told me last night, middle of the day hugs for your kids.
The best, the best. Tanya, I'll let you have the last 30 seconds.
Sure. I think also too is if you can't be the safe space that your children need, and I've said this to my son, like, hey, sometimes you're not going to like me. You're not going to want to talk to me. Call up your uncle. I have a partner in the US. They have their way to kind of message each other. Just let them know that if you are not their safe space, even though that you are, like Anne said, you can come to me with your sadness, with your anger, with your whatever feelings. But if you are not that for your children, then at least let them know that they have other places that they can go as well.
Thank you so much for all of your insights. I'm pretty sure there are parents across Ontario just breathing a sigh of relief that we're not alone. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. CPA Ontario is a regulator, an educator, a thought leader, and an advocate. We protect the public. We advance our profession. We guide our CPAs. We are CPA Ontario. And by viewers like you. Thank you.